That's a win for the Pacers here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tony East here with Forbes and Locked On Pacers, where the Pacers just improved to 8-1 in January. Remarkable turnaround after their start to the season against a very undermanned Sixers team. In fact, I would argue the Pacers didn't even play that well today. They did win by 13-1, 15-102, but it took them forever to create separation. They only had one real significant lead in this game late in the middle of the third quarter, and they're up 11. But the Sixers were ahead by early in the third. The Pacers really took them till mid-fourth quarter to really put this one in a spot where they felt comfortable about the margin. Their double-digit lead didn't come till the final minutes. It was a closer game than the score suggests, is what I'm saying. And yet, you can still mark this down as a progress win for the Pacers, and what I mean by that is go back in time to their first game at home of the season. They hosted the same Sixers team, and what makes that very similar to me is Joel Embiid and Paul George did not play in that game or this game, which on paper makes it seem like that should be easier for the Pacers. The Pacers did roll into Philly and beat the Sixers with all three of their stars available, but that said, the fact that they lost that game in overtime, the home opener. They couldn't guard in overtime. Maxey had 44. Pacers offense wasn't enough. Tonight, they did guard enough. They found ways to score, even against tricky zones, which has killed them all season. They limited Maxey, limited in air quotes a little bit there. He had 28, and they were able to get a win. That is a progress point for the Pacers, even though this isn't an impressive win or something they should walk away feeling excellent about. It is still a victory nonetheless, and one that can add to their 8-1 record in this month of January. So how'd they do it? If it wasn't pretty, why wasn't it pretty? Well, they had a lot of turnovers in this game. 17 for the Pacers. That's tough to overcome. And you know how they did it? They rebounded their tails off. 32-50 rebounding advantage for the Pacers. That helps make up for quite a bit of turnover flub. They had 8 more turnovers than the Sixers and yet still kept up in the possession battle because of that rebounding edge that they had, which made up for a lot of it. The other thing that made up for a lot of it, something I mentioned already, defense. Teams defended very, very well of late. This month in particular, they continue to look good on that end of the floor. And that's the questions I was kind of asking about post-game with the players is what has really led to this? Because they've talked a lot about defensive growth. At Media Day last year, I'll remember Pascal Siakam saying, we think we can be, about the level of defensive team we were last year after the All-Star break when our defense was good enough. 18th to 20th in that stretch. They're third right now in January in defense. Only the Thunder and Clippers have been better this month, and that's why the Pacers are 8-1. They're the only team with 8 wins in this month. They've played quite well on that less glamorous end of the floor, and for a team that knows they can score, their offense in that same stretch is 5th. That's a great combo. That's why their net rating is 2nd best in the league since the calendar flipped to 2025, only behind OKC. So specifically, their defense in this game, I would say, came via just ball pressure, and some of that is the talent the Sixers had available. But Ricky Council, capable of going off any night, 6 for 18 with 2 turnovers, only 2 assists. Tyrese Maxey on his way to 28 points. Yes, that's great. 10 for 23. He missed 5 threes. He had 3 assists only, and he's their main creator. Couldn't really get going. Eric Gordon was 1 for 7 in this game. So there were some guys who got it going. Adam Bona did. He's a big man. Andre Drummond made half his shots. Everyone else for the Sixers really struggled to either get off good looks or make them. As a vacuum comes by, they're cleaning up in here. I apologize for all the noise. So that defense and really that ball pressure made it tough for the Sixers to get it going, have consistent offense, keep the ball popping. 21 assists for the Sixers in this game. Tyrese Haliburton's had more than that by himself before, right? That was clearly a point of emphasis for the Pacers to get up on the ball, make it hard for the Sixers to get it going, and they got a lot of, gook points off of offensive rebounds, for example, from Adam Bona, or foul line was kind of their friend. They took 22 free throws. But in general, they couldn't generate any good shots. The Sixers couldn't with the creators that they had outside of Maxey creating for himself. And the Pacers' ball pressure was a big part of that. You might think this is not a talented Sixers roster, and you're mostly right. They're a bad team this year. But Justin Edwards had been playing very well for the Sixers. Again, Council can do better than that. Maxey very frequently does better than this. Eric Gordon very frequently does better than this. The Pacers defense does deserve credit for some of the off nights they forced. Even if it wasn't a good night for them themselves, they can walk away proud of some of their defensive things. On the offensive end, the Pacers just had sporadic contributions from lots of guys. Pascal Siakam, if you just look at the final box and see that he had 21 points on 12 shots, you might think higher of his game than it actually was. 14 free throw attempts for Siakam on his way to 21, 8, and 5. No turnovers for him, but the foul line saved him. It took him a little bit to get going. He was missing a bit in the first half. His second half was tremendous, and that's what ignited him to being the Pacers' only 20-point scorer in this win. He was plus 14, but the second half is what carried him. In the first half, the Pacers' scoring came in other places. Their bench got some good buckets in the first half. TJ McConnell finally getting the lid off the basket a little bit. He was 5 for 7. He was a very consistent contributor in the first half. And Miles Turner was very forceful in the first half. I don't think the Pacers get off the ground much without Turner in the way he played for much of this game, right? They started down 8-1, 10-1 maybe? I can't even remember. Really ugly start for the Pacers. That's where the Sixers grabbed their biggest lead of the game at 7. Yeah, so it was 8-1. Miles Turner had a couple key plays early in this game. One, a very forceful, powerful in-the-lane dunk. He had, I think, 2 or 3 of those in this game. He had a blocked shot that he then turned into a saved out-of-bounds ball and threw it off of Eric Gordon. He just made a lot of very impactful, forceful, high-energy kind of plays in a row, and that really helped the Pacers get off the ground. He finished with 18 and 11 for a double-double, following up his awesome shooting game in Detroit with another important game for the Pacers. He was a +10. Lineups with him on the floor were tremendous. I thought the front court, while not consistent maybe for the full 48 minutes, each did enough with their minutes and had enough impact on the floor for the Pacers to get across the finish line in this one. They needed them to be good, and they were. Andrew Nembhard's defense on Maxey was important. He had 5 fouls, so his stat line doesn't look awesome. Didn't play a ton, but that defense is important. Tyrese Halliburton didn't get off the ground with 5 turnovers, 9 points, 9 assists. Not his best night, but they overcame it thanks to some of that front court ball handling. I thought some standout performers, though, came off the bench. I already mentioned T.J. McConnell. Aaron Nesmith, his second game back from injury, his first game in this building since October. 4 for 5 from the field. Only miss was a 3. He was 2 for 3 from deep, 12 points in 11 minutes. Tremendous game for Nesmith. His defense looks good. If he can ramp up his minutes, Pacers are going to look threatening. Ben Shepherd, maybe the most impactful Pacer today. I mean, that dude just is such a consistent contributor. His effort's going to be there. He's going to run to the corners. He's going to fight over screens. He was tasked with Maxey defensive assignments when Nembhard was not there. Ben Shepherd closed this game. He played the most minutes of any bench player. He was 4 for 7 from the field. He had half of his threes. Great game from him. Jarris Walker only plays 8:47, filling in the second half as Nesmith hit his minutes limit returning from injury. He was awesome, came in immediately, dunked, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He only had 2 points, but was really good in that stretch. And Thomas Bryant also goes 5 for 7 and 2 for 3 from deep with 6 boards. The whole bench was great in this game. The starters were a little wobbly for the Pacers. They're working through a new rotation now that Nesmith is back. They need everybody to be stepping up, and they really got it from their bench in this game. So very spread out scoring. Pacers didn't shoot well again. That's their second straight win with shooting from the field because they found other ways to get it done. They'll take it. 24-19 after being 10-15. That is 14-4 for the Pacers in their last 18 games, with the only losses being to Oklahoma City, Boston, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. They will take that every day of the week. And now they head to Paris, huh? Goofy, 1-week trip, a little more than that even, across to another continent for 2 games against the Spurs in the middle of the season. So I will not be at those. I'll do videos from my house for those breaking those games down. Maybe I'll do a video breaking down the whole Paris experience for the Pacers. I think we'll get to talk to some of the players in the middle of this week so we can really look into what the inside of that is. We did get to talk to some of them about it, but should be goofy. It's going to really muck up their season a bit. They've had a condensed schedule to this point, and they probably will on the way out, so they can play these 2 games in another continent. We'll have plenty of coverage on the Pacers and their trip to Paris and their games and more right here on this channel, including interviews from tonight's game. Thanks for watching.